quite efficient. This is, I think, where the term going with the flow comes from. People who recognize that it's like a river that just keeps on going. It's one ripple after the next. But when you just settle into the fact that the water is continuously moving, then it becomes quite still and beautiful. So within the movement itself, that's where we find the stillness. So not necessarily within the canceling out of thought or even of life, but rather seeing the dynamic expression within it. And you can see it as quite literally, because it is literally like that. To check in, all you have to do is close your eyes or just stop talking for a few moments, and all of a sudden there's that thought. But it passes and then there's another one. Or it passes and then there's a particular energy that settles. Or a knowing. And that's a refining of the perception and of your ability to communicate with yourself and your surroundings. When it starts to move into these experiences of knowing. So understanding and then knowing, that's true. And seeing the truth as being both sides of the spectrum. Because that's where the wisdom part comes in, which we need as human beings to evolve. So those spectrums. So that which we call positive and that's which we call would rather not have it happen. And it is continuously happening like that. But to begin to see them as experiences rather than as absolutes, then all of a sudden we give way for the insight to come from that which you are experiencing. In the insight which we then develop from that which you are experiencing, we can then apply to all aspects of life. And I think often we just naturally loop back into this level of the conversation because it's so predominant within life's experiences. So to recognize that simple fact and begin to roll with it a little bit more in your meditation practice. So we're not attempting to cancel out anything, but we want to be able to see that which is in front of us through authentic lenses that say that this is okay. That this is okay. That it's happening for a reason. And to get to that place of authentically being that. This is evolution. This is empowering. This is taking control and charge of one's own reality. And within the realm of meditation, how we do that is through steadying our concentration. And that's the exercise that I'd like to put forward tonight, is a steadying of one's concentration. And seeing concentration not only coming from the eyes, because often when we say we're going to concentrate, there's some setting that happens with the eyes like that, steadying it, which is true, that's one aspect. But this concentration is coming from all the experiences which we call physical. So concentration exists within the posture, concentration exists within the rhythm of the breathing, within our hearing, with even how we poise and set the jaw, the tongue, and the soft palate, believe it or not. So all of those elements, the jaw, the tongue, and the soft palate, play a large role in a successful deepening meditation practice. And I am not one to tell anyone where to put their tongue, because there's specific places in the mouth where people say is conducive for the meditative experience. And one place that often is instructed is just before your teeth, which helps to promote breathing and steadiness. If your mind is very active, to flip the tongue all the way back towards the soft palate and allow it to rest there can sometimes be beneficial, because that's the positioning of the tongue, which then connects you to earth. So it's very much a grounding experience. For me, I allow my tongue to do what it wants, when it wants to. And the reason why I do that is because I feel that my whole system is very intelligent, and that it's all explaining an aspect of my meditation practice to me. So what I find is that my tongue goes from just resting to actually sticking itself between the teeth, which is an interesting position. And sometimes you see these beautiful enlightened souls, and they have actually their tongue sticking like this. It looks a little bit strange when you see a photograph of that, but what it's inducing and what it's promoting is bliss-like state. My tongue also goes towards the soft palate quite far back as it possibly can go, and finds itself very comfortable there, and everything in between. So I allow my body to do what it feels it needs to do in order to connect to a form of concentration that's necessary for my developing meditation practice. I don't know how many times you think of your tongue when you're sitting in meditation, but it actually plays a huge role. The reason why I bring up the soft palate component is because the tongue, the positioning of the jaw, and the soft palate are all connected to the type of breath you're entering into your body. And this is maybe another aspect that we don't necessarily pay too much attention to. But when you start to look at how your body position is in relation to your mood, in relation to your intention, attention, and concentration, I think you'll be really surprised. So let's do an experiment. So now just invoke relaxation. And take your in and out breath and just notice how that positioning of the soft palate is in relation to your nasal passage. And now can you show me happiness? You're invoking this quality of happiness. And just notice any subtle changes. Now can you show me sadness? And now can you show me equanimity? balance. And then just gently open the eyes. Did you notice anything? It's interesting, no? I always find that fascinating, how it's so related. And if you're that person that says, I didn't feel anything, then this is also just fine. Because then I encourage you to explore it and see if something comes out of it. So this is all focused around our ability to concentrate. So what are we concentrating upon if it's not thought and it's not emotion? Ideally, we're concentrating upon a single point. And that single point can be placed anywhere just there in front of you. Ideally, it is a point that you're looking at which is expressing eternity. The eternal expression, the continuation of the continuation of the continuation. But what you see is just a moment within that constant. So it's stable and steady. Does this make sense? So we are rocketing through space right now, but we're on Earth. Steady, comfortable, relaxed, and enjoying. But we're hurling through space. But how many times do we really reflect on the fact that we're hurling through space? Or how many times do we look up in the sky and be like, ooh, I think we just sped up a little bit here. We really don't ever do that because of gravity and the atmosphere and all the rest that is just enveloping our experience. But we are eternal. This is the reality. It just keeps on going and going and going. We don't find the end when we close our eyes. We do not find the end when we open our eyes. But just like the earth, we also have an atmosphere. So your human being, your body has an atmosphere that it works with. And that atmosphere is a combination of many things, but within that combination, one is the magnetic field that you feel. It resonates in a particular way. So when we're sitting in our meditation practice, an aspect of our practice is actually enabling ourselves to connect to that magnetism which is connected to that eternal expression. But the concentration is on a single point of reference, just there in front of you. And that single point is moving in such a way that it maintains the steadiness of the mind. So this is the reins, the guidelines, the focal point, or the context that the mind needs in order to steady itself on a single subject, a single task within the meditation practice. Without it, then we can become potentially a little bit too ethereal within our practice, and we just start to always feel like we're floating away and being ungrounded. So just like the gravity on Earth, the gravity within ourselves, within this body, is maintaining and containing. So what then we do is we increase the vibration within this particular atmosphere, which is your individual body-mind connection. So we increase our ability to then see finer and finer qualities of that which we're experiencing. And this finer quality is enabling us to see through that which is the distraction, that which pulls you away. So eventually, over time, you will not feel pulled at all within your meditation practice. You will feel just a continuous steadying. And that steadying, if supported within your daily life, will then start to steady all other aspects of the experience of your life. And again, we talk about this often, but I think it comes up. It's not actually my fruition or my choice. It just simply comes up. And I think that the reason why it comes up is because we often forget. Even people who are way down the path often forget about these rudimentary experiences within our life. And we allow them to just push us, sway us one way or the next within our meditation practice. So if life begins to balance, if life begins to steady, then you can say for quite a strong certain that it's happening because of your ability to concentrate upon a single subject long enough for that transformation to occur, for that revolution all the way around. Click, 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 click. And it's a psychology, really. Sometimes we don't necessarily look at it as that, but it really is. Your mind is beautiful. Your mind is pristine. Your mind's capacity exceeds all that you understand at this moment in time. It exceeds it all. But the question always remains, how do I get from this point A over here to point B? And this point B is just like a carrot dangling that just keeps going and going and going and going, point B. And you can probably all guess what I'm going to say. It's that you have to get out of your own way. Hey, 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 hey. It's like that. We have to get out of our own way. And we've heard this so much that it almost sounds a cliche kind of a statement, but it's actually really true. We have to get out of our own way, but the only way to get out of our own way is to get into ourselves and be brave, be strong in a very soft way, to just allow that which must express itself through to its end, so all the way through to its end, to express itself. And what you'll notice within your meditation, just like your life, if you want to open that window, you can. Okay. Just like within your life, is that it has cycles to it. So there'll be one aspect of the meditation that you are working with, and then it may pass, only to resurface again. So if we can start to see the congruencies between that which is your emotional state within your life and that which is your emotional state within your meditation, the two start to become connected as one. And as the revolution goes around and around and around, they get lighter. You guys know what I mean by that? I think that we've probably all connected to it. But it gets stronger when you're involved within a process. So the yogic practices are actually different processes put into place to stimulate the psychology of the individual, provoke the emotional states of the individual, so that then what comes up is generally that which you need to get rid of, right? That which you need to get rid of will come up. So to stick with it through to its end and see that it's not actually designed to even confuse you. So confusion is a funny thing. It happens a lot. Do you guys ever get confused? But in the realm of yoga, confusion is seen as being an opportunity then for there to be understanding. So to me, confusion is great. If at any point in our discussions you say, this guy's not making sense, I actually think that that's a bit of a compliment. Because within within that byproduct of confusion, we get an opportunity to really see. And through the aspect or avenue of seeing, we get the opportunity to understand. So the steadying mind, the developing concentration, and the evolving meditation is further increased or is enhanced through your ability to simply ride with the flow, go with it, all the way through to its end, again and again and again, recognizing that those feelings that have no congruency within the states of your being, meaning your mundane everyday. Do you know what I mean by that? So you feel one way, but it's not necessarily congruent with anything that's happening around you. Those sensations are actually designed to allow you to go deeper. So it's not something to be afraid of. It's something to embrace. No aspect of your life is designed to hurt you. All aspects of your life are designed to teach you. So when we enter into a process, like meditation is a process, it's going to quicken the time spent within this learning. So it becomes shortened, it becomes condensed. And this condensing is for good reason, because we are here for a particular length of time, relatively a long time for you. And the quicker we can move through that which is the obstacle to our meditation, the barrier that is keeping us from this union, then the more time we spend within that union. So if we can just condense it, the more easily we're able to connect to union, the faster the combination of body, breath, and mind can begin to work into our favor. And now all of this that I'm talking about today can come down to one word as your tool, and that is concentration. Honing one's concentration so that the time spent within the sensation is shortened. It's shortened. What you feel, and then you understand and you move on. Instead of just like backstrokes through. Good or bad, you're just backstroking through it, wading around, which is a form of addiction. It's an emotional addiction. Then the emotional addictions run high in our society, and human beings in general, because we are such feeling creatures. We actually soundboard or reinforce our own identity through those sensations, which are our senses. And those senses are really driven by pleasure. And those pleasure-driven sensations are continuously seeking some sort of power or some sort of connection. And if we do not find that power or that connection, then we feel lost. Then we feel small. I'm not necessarily talking to you. I'm talking about this thing that we call human consciousness in relation to meditation. So as we quicken it, what is left behind is a quality of space. And this quality of space is intelligent. This quality of space is connected to a dynamic stillness, which is dancing. It is legit dancing. So like the Nataraj there is dancing. This is the vibration of energy directly in front of you, deep inside of you, all around you, within all things, dancing. So when we begin to come to terms with the fact that we are not that which we enjoy to ponder, or that which we enjoy to attach ourselves to, or that which we expect from the world. Once we move through all of that, we actually become a part of the very essence, the substance which makes up our universe. Which makes you feel very small, incredibly small, in relation to this giant universe. But within that insignificance, we become so incredibly significant, because we are that small in relation to the universe, which means something that big is supporting us. It's got our back, so to speak. Which then begins to soften the tendency of the mind to strive towards directions which are not necessarily even designed for us to achieve. And we start to retreat back into our wisdom and look into our mind from lenses that are seeing, well, what is the simplicity within my life that I can do to maintain this particular vibration? But what magically begins to occur is that because we are resonating to a vibration that's on a universal level, on a unified field level, so this is all of the very fine qualities that make it all happen. So the smallest of particles, this is considered to be the unified field, just a vibration of space. So we start to look into that and connect our individual experience to that of that united format of experience. And we begin to then take on tasks which then have quick results. And why that is because we've formed the process within ourselves that we do not get caught. Because the emotions get condensed, the thoughts get condensed, and we digest them quickly. So now all of a sudden, all tasks within projects get condensed, digested quickly, and moving on. And this is the magic ingredient to anything that the human being wants to achieve, is the quickness and the steadiness of the concentration in order to keep moving it towards a single point of focus. So then 2 sticks rubbing together in the very exact way, all of a sudden fire. Well, if that was the way that you made fire, you'd be very happy. And then you used some tool, and all of a sudden you made a spear. So all these innovations was getting rid of the aspect of, oh my goodness, I'm so hungry, I might starve, I have to make this thing, and just getting concentrated into the task that's at hand. So the task at hand is actually sitting in union, in this concept of sattva ananda, so you feel balance and you feel bliss. The task is not wandering around, following around the thoughts, following around the emotions, sitting underneath the tree and just bathing in it, but rather bathing in the river itself. Become part of that. Any questions or comments?
That was very well said. I felt like I should have been journaling.
Yeah. Well, I think you got it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got it. Do you want to have a little conversation about it? Do you have comments and questions? No? Okay. They're going to make you move over here to this cushion. Yeah, let's talk about it for a few minutes before we formally sit. What do you think, Yarrow? Anyone? I can keep talking. Does this make sense?
How do you know your own resistance?
This is a good question.
Like, how do you know your own resistance to observing the energy as opposed to, getting in your own way.
Uh-huh. Well, oftentimes we know. And I mean, sometimes you may have a blind spot where you're unconscious, but generally those blind spots are self-induced blindness. You actually know, but you're choosing not to act on it. So if someone were to ask me, I would say that you already know. But now it's the quality that you're going to engage your life with. So what you consider to be passable or not, within the integrity that you are exuding within your life.
Because I witness a lot of people that put themselves in their own, emotional drama, for example, and, they create these, they put themselves in these whirlwinds of problems or whatever, and they live in it,
Mm-hmm.
and seem to, nearly, they act like they don't like it, but they continue to.
Well, this is the addiction, because we identify it as being our reality. And then we say, well, that I don't have any other reality. This is who I am. This is why I exist. And then to come out of that is actually quite scary, just like an addiction. It's actually a scary thing to stop drinking alcohol if you like to drink the alcohol, or stop eating Twinkies if you love those Twinkies. Like that. It is really scary. So it's actually easier to self-impose blindness and just don't look at it any longer. So we know, but it's just that we're choosing not to do anything about it. And this is, in regards to meditation, we all have those subtle addictions. We think we don't, but we do. That's in the physical, but also on the mental. And on the physical, it could just be chocolate or coffee or whatever it may be. But then on the mental, it's a particular way of seeing the world. And if you're just not willing to budge from that, not even that anyone is pushing you to budge from that, but just it's not possible, then that could be considered a slight addiction to that particular state of being. So in the yogic process, we say that in order to be whole and complete, you have to go all the way dark and all the way light. So you have to see both aspects. And the dark is all of those things that we don't necessarily want to see of ourselves. And then the light is everything that we wish to strive towards. But both have their advantages and disadvantages. So in the dark, you are dealing with a lot of fear. So if we can deal with our fears, then all of a sudden we're no longer afraid of the light. And you guys might think that that's funny, but it's actually really true. So many people are afraid of their achievements even before they've achieved them, which hold them in particular places. They want, this word want, that point B, but they're afraid of the steps that take them there.
There's a fear of losing freedom a lot of the time when you gain responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
I find that.
Yeah, 100%. And this is this concentration aspect that cuts through all of the individualism and gets you to a more expanded form of consciousness that teaches you over time that this is all happening for a reason. So for some sort of a calamity to occur within your life, and then you say, oh, well, that's okay, it happened for a reason. To say that with confidence and to say that in earnestness is a process. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of scary though, like, you know, because there's a lot of times when I've looked back at my life and I can see where I've kept myself in a hole like for a long time, right? And then,
Yeah.
you know, I finally break out of it and it's like, holy, I can't believe I did that to myself for that long,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then it's like, well, geez, I hope I'm not doing that right now. You
Yeah,
know?
and that's, you may be. Well, that's what we are doing. We are elevating ourselves and recognizing that, and I say this in the most positive of ways, that we are actually doing that, keeping ourselves in a little bit of a hole. Purposely, you know, on purpose, but not on purpose. For a reason, but for no reason at all. That's the funniness of the yoga, is that it's filled with little comments like that. You must give your absolute effort, but not try at all. That's the whole thing. So, if we can begin to recognize that simple fact, that we are all kind of holding ourselves back a little bit, just feel that truth for a second. It's like, okay. But then decide what to do with it. So now you know, let's say, that's it. You do that. Now what? What would you do with it? Would you make a decision that, okay, I'm not going to do that any longer? I think that we would all make that decision, where maybe one or two of us might say, I'm not playing this game, I'm just going to stay right where I am. So now if we make the decision, and from the moment of making the decision, then what occurs is that everything in your life is a learning. So if this concentration is our tool, and the process is elevation of consciousness, then everything in life is then a tool. Is then a opportunity to recognize and witness. So you're recognizing a tendency, and then you're witnessing it happening. So now just that, within that simple relationship, the psychology of it means that you cannot be that which you are observing. It's actually impossible to be that. Because if you were truly that, then you would be so in it that it's actually a real unconscious experience. That is the blind spot. So the blind spot is the part that you cannot see and witness. If you observe it, if you see it and you witness it, then you are actually not that, because you're watching it. So then what are you in relationship to the circumstance, to the environment that you're in? And if you can begin to ask that question, well, who am I? Who am I in relation to that which is occurring? Very quickly, you begin to recognize that you are something quite significant within that which you are experiencing. For a few different reasons, but the number one reason is that it would not be happening unless you were there. It would just not be happening unless you were there. Which means that you are a walking, talking experience creator. You are creating. Like this deity here is half Shiva, half Shakti. There you go. So Ishvara is God, Arda is half. So it's half masculine, half feminine. And in that relationship, there's creation. So in every cell of your body, there is that creation which is occurring. In every aspect of experience within your mind, there's that creation which is occurring. So one is pure consciousness, and the other is your individual your individual perception of that consciousness. So this is Purusha and Prakriti. So all of that co-creating, developing experience is becoming refined. So this is why I say go to the finest qualities that you possibly can within your meditation. So that which you see with your eyes closed or even with your eyes open, you're witnessing it, you're experiencing it, and then you surrender it to see, well, what's the even finer sensation that I can feel? Whether it be the most elated sensation or that which you're just wondering, why is this happening to me now? What's finer within that? Finer and finer and finer and finer and finer. And then quite truthfully, inevitably, no matter who you are, you will come to a place of equanimity. You will come to a place where that sensation, which is identifying itself as being something different, will dissolve to the point of union. It has to. Or else, for tens of thousands of years, they've been lying to you, and to me, and to everybody, including science. Then it's actually false that at the center of all things is the same vibration. This is why the yogi can say, we have to experience the dark and we have to experience the light in order to be full spectrum. Because the center of the dark is light and the center of the light is dark. It's one and the same thing. But it's how we engage with it. It's how we engage with it. So if we want to say blind spots, then society is very blind to the psychology of our reality. Because we don't really know all of these different states that we keep going into. And we don't necessarily understand the abilities that we have to just simply see it at its center point, at its finest. At its finest. So we are in the process of elevating our consciousness through meditation. And we are using a tool called concentration. So this concentration is placed. It is 360 degrees. It is every cell, it is every particle that makes up who you are is exuding this concentration. So it's not just your eyes and it's not just your mind. It's everything. And if you can just show me that for a moment, everything. And that is yogic concentration. And that's what we apply to meditation. So our visualizer of experience is the blueprint of the human being right here. So I sit in meditation and I'm resonating. And I think that you've all witnessed it before. When you sit and close your eyes, you're seeing with this entire body. Your toes have eyes. Your mind's eye is non-local experience. It sees all. So in this relationship, we're actually getting right to the very essence of the experience within the moment, but also who we were and who we're going to become. All within that snapshot of reality. So all these memories flow through, all of the projections into the future come up, plus this steadying of present moment. And what we often do is we say, well, I'm not supposed to be having that future thing, so I'm going to try to minimize it. Or I'm not supposed to be reaching in the past, so I got to try to shut that down. And I'm supposed to be in this concept of now. So we painstakingly create this now, and get frustrated when it just keeps blowing up. So instead, allow the mind to do what it does. So 1,000 years in front of you, 1,000 years behind you, let's say. Allow it to go that far. But maintaining concentration just there. Maintaining concentration so that then you are present with the sensations that are occurring. And then very, very quickly, all of that distraction just simply falls away. it dissolves because of the process that you're in. So the process is given momentum by the length of time that human concentration is being placed upon it. Right? So you come into this room and you do physical postures, let's say. Well, the strength of your practice is further strengthened because of strong practitioners that come before you. Because it's a collective form of consciousness, and there's these niche collective consciousness all over the planet. So niche, very specific. And when you get into wisdom traditions, these niches, they extend over long periods of time. But they're also all open, no matter what niche it is. So if that vibration connects and clicks, it just feeds it. So this is what we're doing, is we're creating momentum. So you are actually attaching yourself to the broad spectrum of meditation practice within the realm of yoga, which is also related to every other meditation practice that exists within all the other wisdom traditions on the planet. So if we can open ourselves up to that experience in a non-biased way, it is used as fuel to help us to just simply see the finest vibration, the finest vibration, the finest vibration of all of the activity of your mind. Any comments or questions? Okay, let's sit and practice exactly that. And throughout our meditation, let's not put ourselves into the position where we have to do anything. Let's just simply allow ourselves to experience everything and anything that wishes to come towards our meditation practice. Knowing that the way that you hold your body is specific to your concentration. That means your legs, your torso, your hands, your tongue, your soft palate. Knowing that the way you breathe directly influences your meditation. And your ability just to simply see just there in front of you. Your ability to see just there in front of you. Hearing sounds, seeing thoughts for what they are. Sounds and thoughts. But within the space that you see just there in front of you, that vastness, which is steady and bright, is the place where all things come from. So it's now honing our attention through concentration. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full deep breaths into the body. So see where you are gazing at with that inner gaze. Remembering that we use the entire body's worth of awareness to see with. And now maintain the integrity of that point which you see, which has an influence over the general magnetic field. And maintain that quality uninterrupted for 1 minute, which is strengthening your concentration. Softening the gaze, and very slowly, gently allow the eyes to open. So there's always two things which are occurring. There's a constant beauty and strength which is moving you. You can feel it. It's there. And if you look closely, every time you go into your meditation, you see it. It's there. Or whenever you go into a practice of some sort, it's there. So that is what we are promoting, enhancing, developing. The other is the transient forms of thought and emotion that wander. Idea pops up, memory pops up, and that is what we are just attempting to understand more and more why they are there. They're happening for a reason. And some of that reason is just tendency, the way that the brain is organized in a very particular way through habit. And what's breaking that patterned habit is your continuous engagement and re-engagement into that swelling beauty that is happening within your meditation, that constant. It's simply disengaging a lot of those patterns. And to me, what I contemplate often is Patanjali. And Patanjali was a yogi thousands of years ago, quite significant individual in his offerings of wisdom to the practice. And he wrote a book specifically talking about practice, so sadhana. And within his first sutra, he talks about tapas, svadhyaya, and ishva pranidhana. So tapas is willingness to go through discomfort. So enduring it. This is a funny thing. It's already happening to you because you're witnessing it. So therefore, you must just accept the fact that it is already happening. And the magic that happens, and it's not easy, let me tell you, the magic that happens when you gain that ability just to be like, yes, this is happening, without the commentary. Why is this happening? Why? Just simply call it karma if you want. But it has occurred already, so therefore you're witnessing it. So tapas, svadhyaya. So svadhyaya is inquiry in towards the self, using some sort of reliable text of some sort, or just simply inquiring into yourself. So that technique of asking the question, who am I, is svadhyaya. So instead of the commentary as to why, instead ask, well, who am I in relationship to this which is occurring to me now? And again, that very simple tool disengages the organization of habit and puts you into fresh eyes, fresh perception for what your reality is. And then the third thing is Ishwa Pranidhana, which is devotion to a higher form of the mind, a higher form of self, which is not your regular patterned operation of mind. So it's not the one that's caught, it's the one that is freeing. It's the aspect of you that you keep asking all the questions to. And developing a stronger relationship to that. So that's Ishwa Pranidhana. So these three things are constituting Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga is the yoga of action. So which means those three principles clears the way, and then you apply energy into that canvas, that just the blank screen. So if you see a deficiency somewhere or a hole somewhere, you just simply fill it. But you're not filling it with your commentary, your thought, your emotion. You're filling it with that pure awareness that is coming from your deepening meditation experience. Does that make sense? The yoga component to that. So the yoga is the union. That's what we fill the space with. That's what we're engaging. So we're filling the space with the space itself, which then keeps everything clicking along. What catches you, you must work through so that then it's flowing again. And don't get me wrong, some of you might be like this, on the floor, crawling, begging for it to stop. And I don't mind if you do that. If you were to ask me, do you think that this is a good thing that I'm in my living room right now, just crawling around on the floor? And I would say, no, I think it's actually very, very healthy because you are doing it. This is the tapas component. And it just happens very quickly. And you don't need to be crawling on the floor because you have a regular meditation that you bookend your life with, morning, night. And it just burns away. And then you go to sleep, sound, and then you wake up, sit, concentrate your mind. You become an instant superhero. Open your eyes, rocketing through life. It's simple like that. This is great. This was a very good, strong sit, and I think nice and auspicious for this particular energy in the room today. It was very good. So, good job. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next week, if not sooner. Enjoy your evening. So that's in the Yoga Sutras, it's Sadhana Pada, which is the second book, first sutra if you want to look at it. I would recommend to acquaint yourself to the concept of tapas, svadhyaya, and Ishwa Pranidhana. And also Kriya Yoga. So then if there were to be homework, the homework is concentration. How does it work? What does it do? How do you then increase it without straining your eyes? All of those little things, and let's see what happens from now till next Wednesday.